Hi, and thanks for joining me again at Bute Road. Right, this video I'm going to make a start on the track laying through the station area. I've got to do the area around platform 1 that we finished off with in the last video. Then I can lay the track for platform 2, and then I can actually make platform 2 and fit that in. That's going to be a juggling act between laying the second track and fitting the platform, so we'll tackle that as we get to it. But let's see where we are and make a start on laying the track. So my track's going to be laid on a cork base. So what I'm going to do is cut this sheet of cork to the width I want for the track. And luckily I've got an old piece of carpet laying edging for doors. And as you can see, that's just the right width for cutting strips of cork. So we'll do that, we'll get some cork strips cut and then we'll move on to the next section. So what I've done, I've cut some lengths of cork and they're ready now. What we must make sure, as you can see, I've put some tape over that joint as well, but you must make sure that the track is more or less central on the cork, and at the moment we're only just testing it in place so that you get a nice ballast shoulder then either side of the track, either side of the sleepers. Now I've put my longest loco on here, and what I'm doing, I'm checking my clearance against the platform. I don't want it too close because I don't want any issues, but on the other hand I don't want a great big gap and loads of problems, you know, looking silly. So I shall jiggle that about a little bit until I've got it right, and then put a pencil line around this edge of the cork to mark where it's got to go before I start pinning the track. As the cork gets around the corner and the corner becomes more tight, I've cut the cork into small sections but at an angle so they'll fit together a bit like a jigsaw to actually form a curve coming around the corner. So I can make, that's an exaggerated version of what I would get, but I can make it to fit the corner so that it runs in okay. If you're fitting it and you end up with small gaps in between, that doesn't matter because the ballast will drop into there anyway, and you can just more or less use it as wedges, or you can mix and match different pieces so that you've got a fairly good run around the corner. So that's what we're going to do next, is lay the cork. To do that I'm going to use floor spray. It's an adhesive floor spray for like carpet tiles and that sort of thing, but one thing you've got to be careful of, it does go everywhere, so don't let children use it. It's quite lethal. So I'm going to put a piece of card in front of the platform and do a little section at a time. They reckon around about 3 minutes for this to go off before you actually attach the cork. So you've got plenty of time once you've sprayed an area, if you don't do too much, to actually put the pieces of cork in place. I've done a dummy run with them so I know which order they're going to go in, and I'm ready to actually start doing this now. So I'll film a little bit of it and then we'll go from there. But as I say, you've just got to be a bit careful with this adhesive. So it's also very toxic, so be careful. I've got the door open in here to make sure I'm not breathing it in. Again, with laying the cork, I haven't got to be overly fussy because, as I say, the ballast will go over and go down in behind it, and then it'll actually you won't see any of the cork anyway. But I've got a few moments now just to lay each piece in place. You've got no chance of moving it once you've got it in position. You only get one go at it. Like I've messed up a bit there, I'll have to just go through that with a knife in a moment and cut that away again. There isn't time to mess about with this. So that's the cork is down now, and so the glue's only holding in place because the track will be ballasted, and the ballast will hold it in place once it goes over the top of the cork and down over the sides. Said earlier about the tape drying out. Well, you can see, I mean, this has only been now about 3 hours and it's already dried out. It's flat, it's dry enough to put my hand on. There's no damp there now, and I've just cut through there with the knife and through the cork, so that will give me a nice clean joint when I come to do the rest of the work there now. What I've also just done here, where this is going from the station area in towards the fiddle yard, the fiddle yard's not going to be on cork, so I've just taken the surform and just taken the top off of that, and then I'll let the track down gradually from there, and I'll pin it again between there and somewhere around about here, so it'll have a natural fall, won't be too steep, and again the ballast will hold that once it's ballasted. Another little tip that may be of some use is that when I'm pinning my track, I don't go through the centre of the sleeper. I never do, because it looks blooming awful. I go through right as near as I can to the corner of the chair, and usually, if I can, in a little bit of an angle. I then push my track pin in. If I'm going to leave it in, I'll leave it in. If not, I just bend it back a little bit with my finger, so that when I'm testing, I'm not going to catch the loco on it. You've still got to be careful with your fingers, but once I've ballasted and the track is all nice and firm and solid, I can go around, I can pull all the track pins out. They won't show because they've been in the chair, and it just makes an easier job overall. And again, for anybody new to Pico track, don't forget, cut the last chair off, that piece there, just so that you can slide the knife in under, and that way your fish plate goes on the full length that it needs to. A lot of people already know that, but some people may not. Okay, now let's see it working. Go. It works. So just before we finish off, a little bit from Eastleigh, a photograph I took the other day, and a bit of the real thing. Thanks again for watching this video, and hopefully we'll be back soon with a little bit more track laying. Thanks again now. Bye.